The 18th century, a time of immense change. It was a whirlwind of revolution, both political and artistic. England was finding its feet after the restoration of Charles II. The old ways were being challenged, new ideas were emerging. The theatre, a mirror to society, reflected this turmoil. It moved away from the extravagant tragedies and heroic dramas of the previous century. It embraced satire, wit, and a new kind of realism. This new era in theatre didn't just happen overnight. It was shaped by the events, the politics, and the people of the time. Let's step back in time and explore this fascinating period in theatrical history. One of the most striking features of early 18th century drama was the rise of satire. This period saw a dramatic shift in the way playwrights approached their craft, using humor and wit to critique society. Playwrights like William Congreve and George Farquhar turned their pens into weapons. They were not just writers, they were social commentators who used their plays to expose the absurdities of their time. They poked fun at the hypocrisy and folly of the upper classes. Their characters often mirrored real-life figures, making the satire even more biting and relevant. Their plays were witty, biting, and often scandalous. Audiences were both entertained and provoked, as the sharp dialogue and clever plots left them questioning societal norms. They held a mirror up to society, revealing its flaws and contradictions. This reflective quality made satire a powerful tool for social change. The audience loved it. Laughter filled the theaters as they recognized their own follies on the stage. The humor was a way for people to confront uncomfortable truths in a more palatable form. This taste for satire wasn't just a matter of entertainment, it reflected a deeper shift in the political and social landscape. People were becoming more aware of the injustices around them. The old order was being questioned. The power of the monarchy was waning. The rigid class structures were starting to show cracks. People were beginning to demand more freedom, more accountability from their leaders. The rise of satire was both a symptom and a catalyst of this growing desire for change. And what better way to challenge the status quo than through the power of laughter? Satire became a means to not only entertain but also to inspire thought and ultimately action. The changing times called for new forms of expression. Alongside satire, a taste for sentimental comedy emerged. Playwrights like Colley, Cibber, and George Lillo tapped into the growing middle-class audience. They presented stories of ordinary people facing everyday problems. Their plays explored themes of love, duty, and the importance of family. They tugged at the heartstrings. Audiences could relate to the characters and their dilemmas. This shift towards sentimental comedy mirrored a growing belief in the importance of feeling and sensibility. It reflected a changing view of human nature. The Enlightenment emphasized reason and logic, but in the theater, emotion held sway. The political landscape of the early 18th century had a profound impact on the development of drama. One of the most significant events was the Licensing Act of 1737. This act imposed strict censorship on the theater. The government, wary of the power of the stage to influence public opinion, sought to control what could be performed. Playwrights had to submit their work for approval before it could be staged. Many saw this as an attack on freedom of speech. The Licensing Act had a chilling effect on dramatic creativity. Playwrights became more cautious, less willing to tackle controversial subjects. The act stifled innovation and led to a period of relative stagnation in the English theatre. Section 5. The Rise of the Novel. While the Licensing Act restricted dramatic expression, a new literary form was emerging, the novel. This new form offered writers a degree of freedom that was denied to playwrights. Novelists like Daniel Defoe, Samuel Richardson, and Henry Fielding explored themes of love, adventure, and social injustice. They created complex characters and intricate plots that captivated readers. The rise of the novel offered an alternative outlet for creative expression. It provided a space where writers could explore a wider range of subjects with greater freedom than the heavily censored theater allowed. Section 6. Sentimental Comedy. Despite the restrictions imposed by the Licensing Act, the theater found ways to adapt. Sentimental comedy, already popular, flourished during this period. Playwrights like Richard Steele and Oliver Goldsmith tapped into the growing middle-class audience's desire for morally uplifting entertainment. Their plays emphasized the importance of virtue, compassion, and the triumph of good over evil. Sentimental comedy offered a form of escapism from the harsh realities of daily life. It provided audiences with a sense of hope and reassurance. These plays championed the idea that even in a world filled with challenges, goodness would ultimately prevail. Section 7. The Beggar's Opera. Amidst the sentimental comedies and cautious dramas, one play dared to challenge the status quo, John Gay's. This satirical ballad opera took aim at the corruption and hypocrisy of the ruling class. The play was a sensation. Its catchy tunes, witty dialogue, and biting social commentary resonated with audiences. It became one of the most popular plays of the century, demonstrated that even within the constraints of censorship, it was possible to create theater that was both entertaining and thought-provoking. It offered a glimmer of hope that the stage could still be a powerful tool for social commentary. Section 8. The Power of Laughter. The early 18th century was a time of great change and upheaval. Societies were evolving, and with them the ways in which people expressed their thoughts and emotions. The streets were bustling with new ideas, and the air was thick with the promise of transformation. The theatre, ever a reflection of society, mirrored these tumultuous times. It was a place where the public could gather, not just to be entertained, but to engage with the pressing issues of the day. The stage became a canvas for the complexities of human experience. It embraced satire as a way of challenging the established order. Through clever dialogue and exaggerated characters, playwrights could critique the powerful without fear of direct retribution. Satire became a tool for the common people to voice their discontent. Playwrights understood the power of laughter to expose hypocrisy and provoke debate. They meticulously crafted their scripts to ensure that every joke, every witty remark served a purpose. It was a delicate balance of humor and critique. They used wit and humor as weapons to critique the powerful and champion the underdog. The audience, in turn, found solace and solidarity in these performances. Laughter became a shared experience, a way to cope with the harsh realities of life. The theater became a battleground for ideas, a space where the values and assumptions of the age were held up to scrutiny. It was a place where the public could see their own struggles reflected on stage, and where new ideas could take root and flourish. It reminded audiences that even in the face of social and political constraints, the human spirit yearns for freedom, for justice, and for the right to laugh at the absurdity of it all. The power of laughter transcended the stage, influencing the broader cultural and political landscape of the time. It was a testament to the resilience and creativity of the human spirit. Section 9. A Lasting Legacy. The drama of the early 18th century may have been shaped by the political and social forces of its time, but it also left an indelible mark on the course of English theatre. The period was a crucible of creativity, where playwrights and actors alike pushed the boundaries of what was possible on stage. It paved the way for the great dramatic achievements of the later part of the century. The innovations in storytelling, character development, and stagecraft during this time set the stage for future generations. The wit and satire of Congreve and Farquhar, whose sharp observations on society and human nature still ring true today. The sentimental comedies of Steele and Goldsmith, which brought a new emotional depth to the stage. The daring social commentary of Gay. These all contributed to the richness and diversity of the English theatrical tradition. Their works were not just entertainment. They were reflections of the society they lived in, offering both critique and celebration. The plays of this era might seem a world away from our own, with their elaborate costumes and archaic language. But their themes of love, loss, ambition, and the struggle for power still resonate with us today. These universal themes continue to captivate audiences, proving that human nature has changed little over the centuries. The early 18th century may have marked the end of an era in English theatre, a time when the old ways were giving way to new ideas and forms of expression, but it also sowed the seeds for a new wave of dramatic creativity. The innovations and experiments of this period laid the groundwork for the theatrical revolutions that would follow. Its legacy continues to entertain, challenge, and inspire us centuries later. The echoes of the early 18th century can still be heard in the theaters of today, reminding us of the enduring power of storytelling and the timeless nature of the human experience.